In the scriptures, we're told that whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth. And we have, as it turns out, several accounts of this taking place wherein the Lord chastens his people. He chastens his prophets. He chastens everybody. Now, isn't it interesting that those two words go together in such a counterintuitive way? Most people, when they think of what it means to love somebody, it means you're going to care for them, be kind to them, nurture them, be nice to them, say affirming things to them, make them feel better about themselves, pat them on the head, and be very, very nice, as it were. Give them a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling. And that's how we think of love. And yet, in the scriptures, we're told in multiple places that whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth. And so that's quite a bit different. That's quite a bit of a different perspective on what it means to love and what's going to take place, what will transpire when we experience the love of God. Until we are perfected as He is going to continue to teach us new things. He's going to continue to correct us where we've been in error, and He's going to seek to improve our minds. And that is a huge part of what it means to experience the love of God. Now, one might ask, why is it so difficult to stand in the presence of God? You know, a lot has been said about this. Everyone knows that God is full of all this power and glory and majesty, and in some scriptures it talks about how He dwells in eternal burnings, and where He dwells, sin is simply not tolerated, and it's the kind of circumstance wherein if a mortal person just decides to waltz into the presence of God in all of His glory, you're just going to instantly go poof into a pile of ash, and that's it. And so why is that? Is it just the raw energy? Well, maybe that's part of it, but that's not the part that's important. Because, as it turns out, what we really cannot abide is the fact that there is so much we don't know, so much about us that needs to be corrected. And if we were to be laid bare to everything He would have to say to us, and all the things that He would teach us, and all the ways He would correct us and bring us into reality, it would be overwhelming. Way too much. It'd be terrible. It'd be terrible. And most people don't like to think about that. They really don't like to think about that. So, understanding that the love of God is very, very often manifest by reproof, by chastening, it shouldn't surprise us that when we experience the love of God in various ways, it's not always going to be super pleasant. It's not always going to be a big warm fuzzy. After all, what are the fruits of the Spirit? The fruits of the Spirit are not just love and peace and having that happy feeling. Those fruits of the Spirit, by the way, are manifest to the faithful. You don't get the fruits of the Spirit just by having the Spirit with you. those fruits increase through your faithfulness, and as you increase in righteousness, that's when you really experience the fruits of the Spirit. But the love of God is always available, even if all those fruits aren't. And so, understanding that there is so much that God would love to teach you and help you improve with. And there's so much that you don't understand, and there's so much in your life that frankly needs to be corrected. It should come as no surprise that if you were to stand in His presence and He were to start going over these things with you, it would be very uncomfortable. Nobody likes being reproved. Well, very few people like being reproved. It doesn't always have to be a negative thing. In my line of work, I'm a pilot. I get corrected all the time. And I learned long ago that the correct way to approach this, when you're with a pilot who's got a lot to teach you and is maybe in management, he's an instructor, a check airman, whatever it is, I found the best way to approach that is say, hey, I recognize your position and your value. Please help me. Please correct me. I want to learn. And that really helps a lot to set the tone and to create a good learning environment. And so when that correction comes, it will come, absolutely will come. It's still not a super cheerful deal. It's still kind of tough. You're like, oh man, and you're not always going to agree with it. There might be a conversation, but you should expect that reproof and that correction, and expect that it's going to be a little bit hard to take. So understanding that God has all kinds of correction and reproof for us, for our benefit and learning, so that we can increase in truth and happiness and joy, it should come as no surprise that we will encounter people in our lives who know Him and understand Him much better than we do, who have things to say that are not going to give us that happy-go-lucky feeling. It's just simply not going to be the case that we're going to feel that way. There's a bunch of cars here. Trying not to get ran over. It's about 6:30 in the morning here in Rifle. Everyone's going places. Just as a matter of some context for this, you'll recall in the Book of Mormon, when Lehi and his family are traveling in the wilderness, they break their bows, they start murmuring, complaining, they're hungry, they're a little worried about survival. And even Lehi, who's the prophet, who's a sanctified holy man, starts to murmur, which really is not good. For what he had received, for him to do that was really a bad move. And Nephi saves the day, builds a bow, prays, then asks his father where to go to hunt for food, and his father prays and is reproved. And they find writing on the Liahona, which causes them to tremble and shake with fear. That was the love of God right there. Same thing with Moses. We read in Moses chapter 1 in the Pearl of Great Price that when Moses encountered God, he learned that man was nothing, which thing he never had supposed. If you're one way to look at what that means, sorry about that. This place is just teeming with big work trucks, people going around. If you were to put a numeric value on the righteousness of man, it would get a 0. That's what it means when he says man is nothing. His righteousness is almost 0. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's like 0.000001. That's how bad it is. And then as we learn of God and we start to improve a little bit, it gradually goes up. That can change pretty fast in terms of climbing the scale of righteousness as we choose to have faith in Christ and repent. And so, if you look at knowledge of good and evil as on a scale, on a y-axis scale, what most people are going to do is view people that are basically similar to themselves as good people. And then going down at a certain point, you're gonna say, yeah, that's bad, those are bad people. But then what will happen is you look up, and as you encounter people who actually know the Lord a lot better than you do, you're not going to comprehend that. You're not going to understand everything they're saying. And in fact, they're going to teach things that you are going to disagree with. It's like I got myself on some kind of little highway here, which sucks. I'm just trying to find a place to go on a walk. Most of the time with my job, they put me in a hotel in the middle of some massive city, and I can't even go outside. It's just so horrible. So you think that in Rifle, Colorado, you'd be able to find a place to go on a walk without tons of traffic. Near the hotel, and in that you'd be mistaken. Good grief. There's like tons of trucks coming down this road. Get ran over, I'm not careful. Oh my gosh. Really don't want to get ran over by one of these trucks. So I got a friend that I had a conversation with a few weeks ago. I was talking about this, and he was telling me that it doesn't matter how well I quote the scriptures or how well I can articulate these principles that I'm sharing, but that he has this little sensor in his mind and heart that can detect if something feels bad, feels wrong. And if that little sensor goes off, then he knows it's not of God and he's going to reject it. And I was stunned by that. I was absolutely stunned by just the horrific arrogance of that statement. To think that there's no way on earth you're going to encounter somebody who has something to offer which is of great value, that's not going to make you feel somehow diminished or remorseful or feel bad somehow. That was a super sad event. In fact, I cried when he said that. he totally shut me down. And it was a very wicked thing to do. And so I'm trying to explain the reality of how this works. And, you know, there's a big pride thing going on here. Most people like to assume that they are probably far more wise, far more informed, and have far more understanding of the gospel and the scriptures than pretty much just about anyone they're probably ever going to meet. And if someone tries to come along and teach them and correct them, and that somehow conflicts with what they already believe, they are going to, in their pride and vanity, reject that. Say, this conflicts with what I think, this makes me feel, there's something that has a bad taste about this, and it just feels wrong, it doesn't agree with what I've already been taught, or what I believe, or what I understand, and they're going to reject it. And to say that it doesn't matter how well they can quote the scriptures or articulate the truth, you're just, if you get a bad feeling about it, this little LED light goes off, you're going to reject it, then you can pray all day long for further light and truth, and God's going to keep on sending you people to teach you greater light and truth, and you're going to keep rejecting it all day long. And how great is that condemnation going to be at the judgment bar of God when you look back on your life and you can see as plain as day all the many opportunities you've had to be taught, to be instructed, to improve. You were corrected, and because it didn't make you feel good, and because you were not feeling edified by it, as it were, you just rejected it. Avraham Gileadi talks about the path to improvement, the path for progression, the path to becoming holy requires first humility and humiliation. You're going to go through humbling, humiliating experiences. And often that's going to include people who you view as inferiors trying to teach you something. You have to humble yourself. Humble yourself to the dust. You can't go around thinking that you're better than everybody, and that these people can't teach you something. You can't go around thinking that if someone has a teaching that gives you a bad feeling, that that must not be of God, because that's simply not the way it works. It's called cognitive dissonance. This is a very, very natural man phenomenon where people will have a bad feeling when what is being presented disagrees with what they already think or feel, or somehow makes them feel diminished. And that's just a natural man response. And for anyone to think they're above that, they're above being affected by that cognitive dissonance situation, that's just completely unrealistic. That's a really bad thing. Whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth. And we're going to find that we are going to 9 times out of 10 reject the love of God if we are ourselves above being chastened by people who we view as inferiors. Don't make that mistake.